Continuing to celebrate National FFA Week here at Titan Machinery, on episode 3, we are going to hear from state representatives from Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and North Dakota. You will also be hearing from a special guest host, Andrea, from our Titan talent team. Andrea was able to sit down with members of the North Dakota FFA organization and learn more about what FFA means to them. My name is Andrea, and I am so excited to be a guest host this week on episode number 3 of the Titan Talk podcast. I had the opportunity to sit down with the executive director of the North Dakota FFA Foundation, as well as 3 of the state officers. All right. So on this episode of the Titan Talk podcast, I have joining me some individuals from North Dakota FFA. We have Beth Allen, the executive director. We have Wyatt, who's our state parliamentarian. Faith, who's the state reporter, and then Caitlin, who's our state secretary. So welcome to Titan Machinery, and we're excited to have you all here.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. So as we're recording, it's currently Giving Hearts Day. So to start us off, what all are you guys doing in Fargo, raising money for?
We are raising money for all of our FFA members throughout the state of North Dakota. And we are writing thank yous, making phone calls, packaging gifts, and we just appreciate everybody taking the time to give to North Dakota FFA.
Awesome.
Today.
Awesome. So I guess we are just going to kind of go around and just learn a little bit about each of these individuals and maybe the impact that FFA has had on each of your lives thus far, or lives over time here. So maybe start off with, what is your name? And then what is, if those of you that are an FFA, or if you were an FFA, Beth, what was your home chapter?
So I'm Wyatt Kirsten. I'm originally home to the Matt's FFA chapter.
I'm Faith Norby, and my home chapter is Killdeer.
Awesome.
I'm Caitlin Duxer, and my home chapter is Rugby.
I am Beth Allen, and my home chapter would have been Mandan, but I was not an FFA member.
Okay. Yeah, I'm proud Divide County FFA alum up in Northwest North Dakota. So I am now a ways away from home, but definitely grateful for my time in AIG classes and in the FFA when I was in high school. So also a fun part of my job here at Titan is just being able to stay connected with not only North Dakota FFA, but all the different FFA chapters, since we are a star partner in 5 different states. Definitely a highlight for me. So Beth, do you want to talk a little bit about your role as the executive director and kind of what that entails?
Yes, so my role is to raise dollars for the 7,000 plus members in the state of North Dakota, to be able to give all opportunities that want to participate in FFA in any, whatever they decide that their career might look like. We raise dollars for supervised agriculture experience grants, college scholarships, and travel to national convention. There's just so much, the different awards that go into the contest and all of the supplies that they need to put those contests on. And it's just amazing how much goes into every event that we do.
You bet. What's on the agenda for National FFA Week? What do you guys have planned or up your sleeves?
So for National FFA Week, as state officers, we do a lot of traveling. So some chapters will put in requests to have an officer come and do a workshop or like attend the school's own FFA week activities. So for us, it just looks like a lot of traveling, a lot of social media promotion, and just a pretty fun week.
Awesome. A week to celebrate.
Yes.
Celebrate all that's going on across the country. That's awesome. So how many students, so you mentioned about 7,000 members, but if you had to guess, how many students are impacted through the efforts of North Dakota FFA? Because I would imagine it's got to be more than just the members themselves. There's siblings, there's families, there's...
Currently, we believe in the statistics that we have, 1 in every 8 students in North Dakota is in FFA or AIG classes.
Wow.
And keep in mind, Fargo does not have an AIG program, Grand Forks does not have an AIG program, and Devils Lake does not have an AIG program. So that's all of the rest of the state. And so that's just huge. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, really high presence than I'd imagine, like most every smaller, more rural community across the state then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. So you 3 state officers, looking at you, what are some contests that you participated in when you were in high school? Or what were some of your favorite or most impactful contests?
So during high school, I competed in parliamentary procedure, livestock judging, and meats evaluation were my 3 that I enjoyed the most and had the most impact. In fact, the meats evaluation contest was actually what allowed me to decide what to go to college for and to pursue a career in meat cutting, actually.
Awesome. Definitely a high need industry for sure. That's awesome. How about you, Faith?
Oh, I had a lot of favorites. I couldn't choose. I really couldn't. But I really loved parliamentary procedure. I did prepared public speaking and agricultural sales in high school. All of those were very high. The emphasis was on public speaking. And that's, I think, the biggest impact that FFA has had on me. Coming in as an 8th grader, I was a little bit more unsure about, being in different events. And so FFA definitely has helped me kind of tap into my natural talents and helped me realize how much I enjoy public speaking and love talking to people. And so all 3 of those contests that I participated in really have helped me to tap into that type of talent and be more confident in my own public speaking abilities.
Awesome. What would you tell to a younger student? Because I'm sure thinking about being an 8th grader, public speaking does not maybe sound fun to most or sounds very intimidating. So what would you tell a member who's an 8th grader, maybe it's their first year, maybe they're a sophomore even, or somebody what would you give them as words of encouragement to look as public speaking?
I guess I would just say to take little steps. Like, just because you want to be in public speaking, or even if you're nervous about it, it doesn't mean you have to go full in all the way. You don't have to show up and do a prepared public speech where you have to have 8 minutes memorized right away. You can do little things, even at your chapter level, that can really help you gain confidence, whether that's just working on having more conversations with the people around you, working with your advisor to kind of slowly build those skills. Don't jump in all in all the way right away. Just take the little steps, because it's going to build your confidence and really help you to see success further on.
Awesome. Great words of encouragement.
Throughout high school, I did a lot of contests. I would always tell people that I was at FFA all year round because I was always doing a new contest. But some of my favorites, like they said, Parley Pro was up there. I did floriculture, egg sales. But one that was probably my favorite was probably egg communications. I did egg communications all throughout high school. We actually competed at ACOM and at nationals this past year, and
Awesome.
Our team took 5th. And so
awesome, congratulations! That's a huge accomplishment.
So ACOM definitely really was one of my favorite contests, and it definitely led me to my career path of marketing right now. So yeah,
awesome.
It definitely had an impact on me. So
yeah, that's wonderful. So I think what I'm taking from this, these CDE or career development events, correct? That's the correct terminology.
Yes.
Yes, it's fun. It's fun to compete. It's fun to learn all these different things, but they can truly help guide your future career path and just kind of the rest of your life as you take off. So what would you say to some students who maybe are hesitant to try new things? Maybe they feel like they don't have the knowledge or the skill set to participate. I know, Faith, you kind of gave a touch on public speaking, but even if somebody maybe would have an interest in AgCom, but they have no idea, or meets evaluation or whatever that might be, what are just some things that you would tell some of those students that are in chapters and maybe they're just a little hesitant to get more involved?
To me, I feel like the best thing to do is to simply just sit down with them, and if they have any questions, like for me, if someone came up to about the meets evaluation, just ask them, what do you want to get out of it? Do you know much about it? Or simply just ask them, go to practice, see what goes on in there, and go to a couple, just ask questions really is all you can do.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say that everybody starts somewhere. Like we're all sitting here as state officers with a bunch of accomplishments under our belt, but we were all 8th graders too once, had absolutely no idea what was going on. And so you gotta start somewhere. You gotta start small, gotta start from the bottom. And these contests are really great examples of how putting in the work really pays out in the end. Because if you put in the work over 3-4 years, you'll learn a lot, and then soon it won't seem hard anymore.
soon it'll almost seem like second nature almost to you. So I think just starting from somewhere, even if it's at the bottom and like working your way up, it'll take time, but it'll pay off in the end.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would also say just like so many FFA chapters are so fortunate to have really great resources, whether that's your ag advisor or different volunteers helping to coach contests, or even just older members, especially for people that are younger coming into an FFA chapter and wanting to get involved. Use your resources. Like there are probably going to be a couple older members that have been in your shoes. They've been in the competitions that you want to do, and they can always offer so much great advice. And then your ag advisors, they have a plethora of experience in so many different fields. So there's so many people that are willing to support you and help you in your FFA journey. And I would definitely tell members to really tap into those resources that they have at hand.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for your just perspective. Now that you've gone through high school, I think a lot of members maybe can feel intimidated where they're at, but then can look to individuals, even such as yourselves, as an example that it takes time to grow. Awesome. So, Beth, I'm going to direct this at you initially, and then all of you feel free to chime in as well. But what do you think is one of the best lessons that the FFA teaches an individual?
I would say accountability and also the work ethic, the detail that FFA members put in to the events that they are part of and to the programs that they choose to be a part of. If you're not in the FFA world, you do not realize how much time and energy our FFA members put in to the different contests that they're involved, or are the supervised agriculture experiences that they have. And all those just take them so far down the road. I mean, every experience that they can get just takes them a little bit further and opens those doors to a whole new world of employment opportunities and friendships and relationships that last a lifetime. And I guess after I just said all that, I would say your relationships that you build, because they're going to take you in many different directions.
Awesome. Do any of you have thoughts of what's a critical thing? And this could be your own life. It could be family members' lives, friends, whatever, but just some of the best lessons that FFA teaches you as an individual.
Yeah, I would kind of going off of what Beth said, I would say it's teaches you a lot of like pride in what you do and like pride in who you are. Especially in your more rural communities. Like FFA is a pretty like well-known, well-respected organization. And so like once you tell people, yeah, I'm an FFA, I'm a member, they like immediately kind of, I would say have a bit more respect towards you and they want to talk to you about it more. And so I think you just learn how to be like humble in who you are, but also like wear FFA with pride and like wear what you do with pride, and takes you a long way in those business relationships.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would also say I think that FFA really has a huge impact on teaching students responsibility, accountability, and organization. Like whether you are working to get a gold in a certain CDE event, or if you're just even working at the chapter level, putting on events in your chapter, there's so much time and prep work that goes into every single event that you do, and being responsible for those, being accountable to your team members, because a lot of different activities that you do as an FFA member are very team-based. So learning how to work with the team and be accountable to your teammates is huge in FFA. And I definitely can see in my own life how much I have gained those different responsibility skills as an FFA member.
One thing that I actually realized was that FFA is one of those things that it's a very eye-opening organization, because it's one of those that you get out of this organization of what you put in. If you're one of the students that maybe aren't that into the contest and stuff, and sadly there are some out there like that. But then if there's those that really push and try to succeed, it really helps out in the future.
Awesome. Yeah.
I hear time and time again from our sponsors that if they have a person that's applying for a job and on their resume comes through, and if it says that they've been an FFA, they immediately will get an interview. They may not get that job, but they're already a step ahead of the other people that have applied for that job as well. So just by it raises the bar immensely. And I think we really need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just hearing your these 3 state officers' experiences, it sounds like through these different contests, through your participation in the FFA, you've been able to develop a lot of really great skills and just relationships with individuals through just your association with the FFA. So I think that definitely speaks to what you just said, Beth, for sure. So Beth, looking back after hearing all this, do you, thinking back to when you were in high school, are you like, oh, I should have just been in the FFA?
I think I come with a different perspective.
Yeah.
My older siblings were in FFA, and I don't regret it, but I have an appreciation as an adult looking from the outside in and seeing what it does do for our young kids and our young members at any age. And it is truly amazing. I can't tell you the pride that I have in our state when we go to National FFA, and there's people that have FFA in their blood from the time they were born until I can think of the ag teachers and all the people that have put so much blood and sweat and tears. And to be able to go to National FFA and be with your state members that are representing your state, I mean, it is really cool to come from a little state when you're competing against some states that have hundreds of thousands of members and they take 5th in the entire nation, or they take 1st or 4th, or North Dakota shows up when we go. And I just think North Dakota has a lot to be proud of in our kids. And I don't think we give them credit enough for it.
Definitely. Yeah. So where's state convention for 2023?
It's in Fargo, always in Fargo.
Okay. And then where's nationals?
It's in Indianapolis.
And is that one always there now, or is that transitioning?
No, that's always in Indianapolis.
Okay. Yep. Awesome.
They always put in like bids or whatever to see who hosts nationals. But Indianapolis just set up perfectly for a large convention like that. Like, there's hotels connected to the big convention center, and it's just a really great location, and it's central. Right, central.
Indianapolis just built for the FFA.
Yeah, it is. I know.
It is.
It becomes a sea of blue when you're there.
Yeah.
I mean, to be there,
I imagine,
and to look out and see all those blue jackets, it's truly amazing.
It's also really cool. Like, there's a lot of businesses like along the way to Indianapolis that also know that kids are coming. Like, we'll be a state away from Indiana, and there'll be signs on like gas stations or little tourist shops that are like, "Welcome FFA."
Oh, I love that.
Like, they know that these big buses of FFA kids are gonna stop by, and so it's crazy how much impact FFA has just for being there for like a few short days, because we have upwards of almost 100,000 kids at this convention. It's like people know that we're there, and so yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, growing up in North Dakota, being in the FFA, I feel like NDSU is built for the FFA state convention too. Yes. I just have fond memories of staying in the dorms, and it eased myself when I thought about going to college at NDSU, just having had that experience on campus, understood where to go. So
the NDSU is the only facility in North Dakota that would be able to house and hold state convention for us and FFA. And so that's why we always have to do it after school's out.
Sure.
So that we can take over that facility, because we don't have any other place in North Dakota that would do that for us.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So, Beth, I want to just direct this question at you. Obviously, I mentioned Titan Machinery is a star partner. Just what impact do partners like Titan have on the success of FFA in North Dakota?
Your sponsorship is so successful for us because it not only impacts FFA, but it impacts our Team Ag Ed family. And when I refer to that as our ag teachers, our alumni, adult farm management programs, post-secondary, which is in like the 2-year college, and then also at NDSU, the ag education program there. So so much of your sponsorship goes to each of those programs. So it all goes back into FFA in different levels, because it's not just FFA. There's there's so much more that goes into it. And it's nice to be able to have a partner like Titan to be able to help us accomplish that for our team, Megan.
Awesome. Well, we're a proud partner. We love to share that with individuals as we do a lot of presentations. We just like to kind of show that FFA pride. And I know many of our employees are proud FFA alumni. And I know, heck, half my team here tomorrow, we're going to go judge some egg sales and just kind of see the next up and coming generation of future equipment salesmen, hopefully for Titan.
Awesome.
So
I'm guessing you're going to Little Ag?
Yes, yep. And then I know there's some people going out to the Kindred contest
sure.
as well. So
Yep.
yeah, we enjoy it. We get to volunteer at several different contests each year across the Midwest, where we kind of have all those different locations. So we definitely enjoy it, getting back out there, seeing the next group of FFA members and students. So all of you, my last kind of formal question, where do you see the future of FFA going? If all of you kind of want to just kind of share some of your thoughts of some future projections for the FFA.
I definitely expect FFA to grow very rapidly, and I can see it becoming very much larger than it already is. Like currently, we have around 800,000 nationally with 7,000 in the state. I could see those numbers almost doubling in a couple years.
So can you just give, for maybe some of those listening that don't have a picture of how far reaching the FFA is, I know they say this in kind of some opening addresses, like it reaches from state to state, or can you give a picture of that, Wyatt?
So FFA, it is nationally, and every state that it has FFA, just like in the opening, it's meant wherever corn is grown. So it reaches all the way down to Hawaii, all the way up to Alaska. We have chapters down in Virgin Islands. So it truly reaches just about everywhere, from Maine to Alaska to Hawaii, Virgin Islands, Central America, East Coast, West Coast.
I wonder what variety of corn they're growing down in Hawaii. It's got to be a little something different than North Dakota, but
I think we should go check it out.
Let's go next January. I am in.
Yeah, right. I wonder if it's a pineapple flavor.
Something tropical.
Right.
How about the rest of you? Where do you, does any other thoughts on where we kind of see the FFA going, or the future of the FFA?
I definitely think I can see where we're at right now. I believe that the quality of FFA members, the quality of chapters is just going to keep improving. Like, there are so many individuals within FFA that are so highly motivated and so committed to success. And I really truly do believe, I've seen some of that. We actually have over 40% of North Dakota's FFA ag teachers right now have less than 5 years of experience. And from the ones that I've encountered, they are so on fire for FFA. They're so committed, and they have a lot of really great things going. So I see just the younger blood coming up into FFA. I really do believe that we're going to keep raising the bar higher and higher, improving our FFA members as they graduate and they enter the workforce. They really are, even though right now they kind of set the bar high, I think that in the next couple of years, they're going to continue to raise the bar and really make a name for themselves and for the FFA, even after they have taken off their blue jackets.
Awesome.
What Wyatt and Faith said are very true statements. I think that both of those things are really going to happen. One thing that I think is going to kind of shift to in the next couple of years is, so every single CDE the FFA has gets reviewed every 3 years. It's reviewed by industry representatives and ag teachers to make sure that each CDE is meeting industry standards and meeting what the industry needs. So like the Ag Mech program, like with Titan, would kind of have a tie to every 3 years nationally, it gets reviewed to see if the Ag Mech program is still meeting industry standards. And so I think in the next probably 10 years, we're going to see a lot of changes in potential CDEs, just due to the fact that all industries are changing, a lot to do with technology too.
Certainly.
So I would say that there's going to see quite a few changes in CDEs potentially, just to make sure that our kids are staying up to date with the industry standards and staying up to date with like where they need to be when they leave the blue jacket too. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that's critical. We can't still be competing in egg mech contests that are using technology from 1950. Because think of even 2010. Think how far equipment technology has come in just that short amount of time.
Yes. I would just like to add that from a industry perspective, industry is really looking towards FFA. That is their avenue to their future. And no matter what meetings I go to, team building, whether it's with other foundation directors or with other foundation staff, FFA, the industry is looking to FFA because they know the quality of members that FFA produces. And there are so many needs that are out there, and they just know that they get such a well-rounded education and a platform, so to speak, that they want them. And that we have such a large group that they're able to get connected and involved with them.
Yeah, you bet. Definitely. I think all of us in this room can agree we believe in the future of agriculture through FFA. So want to thank you all for your time today, for taking the time to visit with us, and we look forward to seeing you at State Convention.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's always fun to listen to the first part because it's just transition. So I am excited, Val, to be talking with you. You're the Minnesota FFA Executive Director. So I can't wait to learn a little more about Minnesota FFA and all the work that you're doing with students and how you are impacting the agricultural industry in Minnesota. So if maybe we want to start, if you want to introduce yourself, Val, and talk about who you are, what your role is in FFA, and maybe just a little bit of how you got into FFA in your position.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the chance to visit. You know, I think my journey really represents a lot of FFA members' journeys. So when I was 16, I joined FFA and I fell in love. I fell in love with the connections that I made across the state. And that was even before social media. I mean, it was just amazing when you think back to how friendships developed across the state, and it allowed me an opportunity to get outside of my comfort zone. I don't think people always believe me when I say this, but I was a pretty timid freshman, and FFA really found a way for me to open up and experience things at a whole new level. So a very active FFA member, enjoyed activities on the local, region, and state level, served as a state officer. And then I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to be an agriculture teacher. And I loved it. I was a high school agriculture teacher for 7 years. I think it's because of that I really understand the value that a quality agriculture teacher has in bringing that program to life for students. So after doing that for 7 years, our own family grew, and my husband's also an agriculture teacher. So that was kind of a transitional part for me. And I thought, you know what, I would love to work with the Minnesota FFA Foundation. So I currently serve as the executive director of the Minnesota FFA Foundation, but play a really close role in helping support the FFA Association and our members. And we have a lot of them. We're pretty excited. We serve over 40,000 students in classrooms across the state of Minnesota. Nearly 16,000 of them have opted to join the FFA. So I look forward to sharing a little more about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I have to ask, so you said you were an officer. What was your, what office did you hold?
You know, I was stationed by the ear of corn. So for those who are listening and know, that means I was the state secretary and just thoroughly enjoyed that experience. And I was pushed hard. Our state advisor at the time had high expectations for us. And, you know, it was a learning opportunity, but I totally appreciate and looking back, think, wow, those people invested in me in a way that I didn't know was possible. And now that's what my goal is, to invest in our students the same way that people invested in me.
I love that. What a true statement for agriculture, though, right? You plant a seed in something and then you watch it grow and you just continue to see that progress. So you mentioned how many students are impacted through Minnesota FFA. Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe in what ways they're being impacted? So I know there's classroom programming. There's, of course, FFA events and contests. But maybe can you elaborate a little more, too, on what is being provided and how they're being impacted?
Yeah, I would love to. It's pretty neat that when FFA was kind of developed, it was part of a 3-circle model. So you hit on it. Classroom is where it all begins. And so when I reference the 40,000 students, those are in 210 schools across Minnesota that offer agricultural education. So everything from horticulture to welding to natural resources, ag mechanics, all of those pieces provide that solid start for a student in the classroom. Then, of course, what we're known for the most is the Blue Jackets, the FFA membership, and all the opportunities that go along with that. First at the local level, but then in Minnesota, we have regions that provide career development events, leadership development events, leadership conferences. And then we have the state level. And so students really are given a lot of opportunities to just grow and to develop those skills. And then the third circle of our 3-circle model, and our goal is that they all intersect in the middle and everybody gets to experience all of those, is what we call the Supervised Ag Experience Program. And so in other areas, they'd call that experiential learning, but for us, it's supervised ag experience. And that's where a student really gets to develop their own career path or their own program to explore and develop skills. So that's the goal, is that students have a strong classroom experience, get inspired to try new things. Some career goals might come out of that. They experience the FFA, learn how to grow as an individual, how to contribute in a committee, as part of a team, develop parliamentary procedure skills. Those are always important. And then finally, as I mentioned, that experiential learning that takes place very individually. So I grew up on a farm. Mine was very traditional. I tracked my animals. I did feed records. When I marketed them, I kept track of the price of the animal being sold. Nowadays, there's all of those, plus there's things like lawn care businesses or agri-science projects. So a lot of really neat opportunities.
In Minnesota, do you find a lot of the individuals being impacted are from rural communities, or are you seeing more and more individuals that maybe aren't coming from a farm or an agricultural background joining the FFA and then also getting to be a part of that community while maybe not actually coming from that historically, where a lot of them did come from it?
You really hit on an area that I feel good about. I think we've grown tremendously in getting students and communities to understand the FFA, even if they're not from a farm. And so I guess I can't say the exact, but I know a few years ago I kind of looked at our membership and we had about a third of our students came from a farm, a third came from rural communities. They did not experience production agriculture personally. And then a third come from the larger towns and cities. We're proud of every single program, but to just share kind of that size and scope, we have programs that are vibrant in St. Paul, Minnesota. We have programs that are in their rebuilding stage in Minneapolis. But then at the same time, we've got programs in some of the smallest communities in Minnesota. And what I get so excited about is that regardless of the size of the community, those kids are developing a knowledge and appreciation for agriculture. They're identifying areas that they could actively contribute. And that just excites me to think that they're going to join the rest of us who already understand how agriculture is so important to our state, but as us as citizens of the state and country.
You can tell how passionate you are about FFA and the work that, everyone is kind of doing. And it's a very collaborative organization. There are a lot of different pieces that need to be in place for it to be successful. And so one of those are our partnerships. And of course, we are a state partner. So we financially support
the Minnesota FFA through the foundation. We also attend events, hosting, support maybe even more of like a regional type conference. We've done tours. Can you maybe talk about the impact though of partnerships and why it is so beneficial for the FFA, for the company, and of course there's a mutual benefit to being a partner?
Oh, I would love to. You know, what we're able to do for kids is only possible because of the partnerships that are in place. And so you all are STAR partners. And what that means to us is a really strong foundational investment in what we do. So those dollars go right into helping build up teachers for our profession. We currently have a shortage of teachers. We continue to grow. We've had growth at levels I've never seen. Adding just 20 plus programs in the last 5 years. Those take teachers. And so in addition to new programs, we're also seeing programs grow. So again, your partnership helps provide us support of our teachers. It also helps us build up support in the community. And that's done through the FFA Alumni Association in Minnesota. So what we really knew early on is that you need community support. So when budgets get tight in a local community, there are business owners, farmers, and others that will go and advocate for the program and say, even if there is some additional expenses to running an ag mechanics type program, it's worth the investment. And so we, through the partnership that you all are part of, we feel very good about investing in the development of advocates in the local community. The dollars go to support current teachers through our Teachers Association. So we love to have our partners come and interact with teachers. Having been a teacher, I know that when we learn from the industry experts, that gets put into their classroom almost immediately. And suddenly they're able to speak to their students at a level that they couldn't before. They're speaking with knowledge and expertise that they gained because of our partners. And, you know, the foundation, we're a part of the STAR Partner Program. We're the ones that manage that. But then it's, again, to just build an awareness and knowledge of why students should and can be invested in. And the other one that I haven't mentioned quite yet is FFA. And, you know, the dollars go to make sure that our events are accessible to students regardless of their economic status. And again, this number might be a couple years old, but about 40% of the students we serve come from economically challenged homes. And so we work really hard as of partners like you all to provide a convention at a cost a third of what it really costs to have a student attend. That's all shouldered by the care and support of sponsors like Titan Machinery. So that's important to us to be able to have you invest in our students. But by the same token, we're really hopeful that you all see the benefit as well, that when students look for employment afterwards, or they look for a business that they want to do business, they say, you know what, Titan invested in me. And I want to further explore working for them, or, you know, those would be your vendor of choice, really. So we are very proud to be able to showcase our partners, and you certainly are a strong one for us, and we're very grateful.
Well, we're always happy to support. We try and say yes whenever we can and however we can. I know we have a lot of FFA alumni throughout our footprint. We have FFA alumni all the way to the top. Our CEO was an FFA member, and all the way down. And when we see it on a resume, or we meet someone and they talk about it, it certainly is an organization that I think speaks for itself, and the quality of individuals that come out of it is very evident. And you can typically tell that they were a part of an organization that valued, you know, hard work and good follow through, communication, being professional, which are all really strong pieces of our team and our company. So it aligns very nicely, and we've really enjoyed having these partnerships. I think they work really well and go hand in hand. I'm interested to hear maybe where you see the future of FFA going, whether that's at your state level in Minnesota or even nationally. Just maybe your perspective of where it's going in the next couple years, or even more in the future.
I think it's amazing to think back to where we began, and it was with 30-some young men that met, and now, we are a sizable organization across the country, and I think we've gotten there because we continue to hear from industry leaders, and that helps shape the programs that we offer our students. As far as kind of overall trends, there's a real hope by FFA's 100th anniversary that any student that is enrolled in an agriculture class, in Minnesota, we call it agriculture, food, and natural resource class, but those classes, that they would have FFA membership available to them. So it's called affiliate membership. And the goal is not to just say, well, you are an FFA member. It's to build programs that they can access at a level of their choosing. So breaking down the barriers. We believe FFA is so important to the development of young people. We want to offer it to everybody. So the goal at National, and Minnesota will fall in line with this goal to make it happen, is that every student has access to the high quality FFA programs that they can develop their skills through. And so that's a major push for us as we kind of get closer to that 100th anniversary. But exciting things are happening. Our state really puts a lot of emphasis on topics that are important and relevant. And here in Minnesota, an initiative that we're very proud to be part of is the Bend Don't Break mental health awareness effort. And so in 18 chapters across the state this year alone, they're implementing and doing activities to increase the awareness of supporting each other, knowing that our communities are oftentimes heavy and burdened with the challenges that face us. 18 of our chapters stepped up in the first year and said, we want to be part of that program and to support our communities. And so we continue to put our finger on the pulse of what's happening in the agricultural community, and then we work hard to do our part. And so first year of Bend Don't Break mental health awareness program, but I think that will be another effort that will continue in Minnesota for years to come.
Wonderful. That's an exciting program. I'll have to look more into that. But that's a really good testament to have 18 chapters step up and want to make that positive impact in their community. So, well, I appreciate you taking time. I know you guys are always very busy and doing a lot of wonderful work throughout the state. So I appreciate you taking some time to chat with me today, share more about Minnesota FFA and Titan Machinery. We certainly look forward to continuing our partnership.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for all the support that Titan Machinery gives through not only the State FFA Foundation, but also to our local programs and our teachers. We certainly couldn't do what we do without the partnership that you all have invested in us. So we're grateful and look forward to many more years of partnering.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jerry, for joining me this Monday morning. Maybe we can start with you, maybe introducing yourself, your role, and the organization that you serve.
My name is Jerry Eide. I'm the South Dakota FFA Foundation Executive Director. So our role is to build partnerships and provide support for all the FFA activities in our state, as well as provide local support where needed.
Now, did you grow up being involved in FFA, or did you kind of come into it as maybe more of an experienced hire?
Well, I grew up in FFA, but that experience changed or came on board as a high school freshman. Actually, I had no intention of joining it, and I had a high school senior come up and approach me and be very persistent about all the opportunities and benefits that I could gain out of it. So I said, I'll give it a try. And a couple of weeks later, I was sold hook, line, and sinker, and went through very active as a member, and then became an ag teacher, and then served as State FFA Association staff before I moved to the South Dakota FFA Foundation. So my family kind of says I bleed blue and gold. Kind of runs in my blood.
What contests or events did you participate in when you were in FFA?
I participated in quite a few different things. My favorite was public speaking. I love the opportunity to be prepared with my message and also share what I was very passionate about with others. And it really fit into with my desire to just promote agriculture industry as it is production agriculture, but it encompasses so much more. And that's kind of always been a real focal point for me, is that we value every production agricultural student. We value giving them the skills that they need to feed us, but it takes so much more than that to accomplish the job. We need the scientists doing the background work. We need those that are willing to market it and sell it and share the news about it. We need all aspects of the agricultural industry for us to be effective, and we want to come together to accomplish that.
So can you tell me a little bit maybe about the South Dakota FFA organization? How many individuals are you serving? And have you noticed maybe any changes or growth in your organization over the last several years?
Sure. Yes, we're growing as an organization. We have currently just under 5,500 members across the state, and we have 109 chapters. That's a growth of about 21 chapters in the last 6 years. So this communities are seeing the value of agriculture education, the leadership that we provide, teaching the specific skills, and along with teaching the passion to be involved and give back to their communities. A huge growth area for us has been the Agri-Science Fair. We've had students get very excited about researching and sharing what they've learned with others, just asking why in a very different way and learning that scientific method and becoming on board with that. So that's a specific program area that has shown a lot of growth. And with that growth, we've added more larger communities. Recently, this year we added Sioux Falls has their first FFA chapter ever, and T has added a agriculture education program also for the first time. And in the last several years, we've added Aberdeen Central as well. So we're seeing growth in the non-traditional agricultural areas and looking at really maintaining how do we serve all the populations in agriculture.
That's exciting to hear. We've heard that from a couple other states too, where maybe individuals that didn't grow up on a farm or don't have access to a farm on a daily basis are joining FFA and are bringing really good, maybe different ideas of what they want to compete in or background, or just bringing maybe a little bit more diversity into the organization. That's been really valuable. What do you think is one of the best lessons that FFA teaches an individual?
I think FFA helps build confidence in a multitude of ways, but a lot of it is through the networking with other members and helping them identify that there are others like me. You know, a lot of small schools, they might be the only one that has a real strong passion for a specific area of agriculture or agriculture at all. And when they're able to go out and connect with members from other schools and other chapters and see that they have a passion for agriculture, they have a passion specifically for the beef industry, or they have a passion specifically for the science aspect of agriculture. They have a passion for giving back to their communities through community service. They're concerned about the mental health of the producers in their area. Whatever specific area it is, by networking and getting them out to attend the different conferences and events, they're finding others that share that same passion. And those are lifelong partnerships that they'll continue to carry with them. You know, you hear state legislators talking about, I remember going to FFA leadership retreats, or you hear others talking about in industry as they're connecting across companies that are now maybe competing, maybe working together, but they've got that connection and that rapport so that they can continue to investigate and learn about the agricultural industry from different perspectives.
Wonderful. You mentioned a little bit about, making those connections, and as an industry that we, is supporting FFA financially through resources, time. What do those partnerships mean to you and to the South Dakota FFA organization, to have partners who are willing to step up and support all the work that you guys are doing?
Well, they're key to our success because, we have our ag teachers, we have 2 state staff, We have myself on part-time on the foundation side of things. And without our industry leaders and the volunteers, past members that are willing to step up and provide coaching, provide opportunities for experiences, provide financial support to make the different events happen, none of it would be able to happen. And we're looking at coming up here, we're having judging for State FFA proficiencies and judging for State FFA Agri-Science Fair. So when you're talking in the hundreds of applications in each of those, teachers can't judge those. Teachers don't want to be judging their own students. They want industry input on those. So having those connections, as well as the financial support to provide the awards and the recognition in the state convention where they are all recognized, is key to helping motivate our students, helping them understand. And they make great connections with industry, builds internship opportunities, starting maybe with job shadowing to internships to future jobs and careers for those individuals as they continue their experience.
Wonderful. Well, I know we always look for any way we can say yes. However that looks, I mean, I think we see a lot of value in giving our time, our resources, our energy to FFA. When we get applications in that say they were in FFA or they're in FFA, it definitely helps them kind of stand out in the applicant pool. And our managers, who are very busy, want to make that time. So I think that speaks a lot to what kind of student and what kind of product the organization is putting out for individuals to say, yes, this is kind of worth my time to spend with them. And sometimes even if it's a little difficult to get them to go judging afterwards, they're like, that was so fun. Oh my gosh, I remember when I did it, or it was just really fun to see them warm up or showcase something they're really passionate about. So I think that's always a good thing when you can maybe even get other people out of their comfort zone and then put people in the same room with different experiences, but both are a little bit maybe out of their comfort zone. I think some good stuff can come from that.
When I think back over the years, there's tons of students that have gained those experiences, and one comes to mind that was just very quiet, attended stuff, but looked very much locally and not beyond what he was going to do within his local community. Became active in FFA, went on to serve as a state officer, became, very active in his industry, and has given back time and time again by pulling in his industry, but also by himself personally being engaged in judging and FFA activities, and reaches out, says, how can I make a difference? How can I help? What do you need? Mm-hmm. And we recognize fully that that's the time is a huge treasure, as well as the financial support.
Wonderful. Do you guys have for South Dakota anything fun planned or unique planned for FFA week, or anything, I guess, coming up here in the next couple months? I know state convention will be here before we know it as well.
Yeah. Local chapters really have their celebrations based around FFA week. We do a big social media splurge, sharing all the things that chapters are doing across the state and letting people know. But a lot of those celebrations are very locally focused around FFA week. And then chapters are really gearing up and getting ready to start the production career development events that will start right after FFA week, with students going out and learning about the different industries, from ag mechanics and evaluation to animal systems, floriculture, food science, all the different areas. So students are really gearing up and starting to get excited about the opportunity to learn those and investigate, is this a potential career path area for me?
Well, Jerry, thank you so much for taking time to share more about South Dakota's FFA, the work that you guys are doing from the side of industry. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to partner, to hear from you, and definitely keep us in mind for any future needs or opportunities that you guys come up with.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dustin, for joining me today to talk about your experience in the Nebraska FFA organization. I know you are a state officer in Nebraska, so I'm excited to learn more about what that means to you and how you kind of got into the FFA organization. So my first question is, of course, what does an officer mean, and how did you become a state officer?
So an FFA state officer, basically what they do anyway is run some of the programming and some of the programming at the state level, and then kind of lead the state in a way, or a representation of the Nebraska FFA state association as a whole. And then at the end is kind of our big event where we run our Nebraska FFA state convention. And this year it's at the end of the March, March 29th, 30th, and 31st. So that's kind of our big event where we kind of put that on and then retire, and a new team will come in then. And so we've spent our year doing all sorts of crazy things. We have put on multiple conventions, done a lot of different business and industry visits where we meet with some of our sponsors and supporters. Right now, currently, we're doing our chapter visits, which is one of my favorite times of the year. So we're traveling around to as many chapters as we can around the state of Nebraska, and just spending a day with the FFA members, with the students from that school, getting to know a little bit more about their projects, how their year in FFA has been. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now. And we have a couple more weeks of chapter visits coming up. And we're kind of running towards the end of our year then, where we'll go ahead into March and start really preparing for our state convention.
Wonderful. So do you remember when a state officer came to your chapter? Were you lucky enough to have a state officer visit?
Yep. So I'm from Boone Central High School, and the year before we had a past state officer, now Emma Coos. She came to our school, and I remember just having a lot of fun with her, doing some different activities throughout the class periods that I was in the ag classroom. So I remember my chapter visit, and I'm really it's awesome to get to do that experience now and get to have those connections with those FFA members.
So you mentioned connections, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that FFA provides to students is the ability to meet people from all over the state and all over the nation, if you're lucky enough to go to nationals. But you get to meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds, and a lot of them maybe aren't from agriculture. Some have grown up with agriculture from, the day they were born. So can you maybe tell me a little bit about your past, how you got into FFA, and then maybe let's kind of chat a little bit about some of the connections you've made. But let's start with how you got into it.
Sure. So I actually was lucky enough as a 7th grader. I had a member of the community that was really motivated and really passionate about FFA that actually came in and kind of taught an ag class of sorts that was aside from actually being in school. And so we would we got a group of students together that were really interested in agriculture and kind of had an idea what FFA was. And we would come in before school and kind of get taught that ag class. And then that community member then kind of introduced some of those competitions that we could do as just a junior high member then. And so right away, kind of that group of friends, that group of individuals that were kind of knew about FFA and were pretty motivated about agriculture, we started getting into some competitions, quiz bowl, some different speaking events, an agri-science fair is one thing that I did too. So we just started right away getting into some of those competitions and going to the different things that FFA had to offer. And so that was really a big start. I got started early. And got to kind of get a feel for what FFA had to offer. So then after my 7th and 8th grade year, I was really excited to be an actual member in high school then. And so freshman year, I had no doubt in my mind that I wanted to be an FFA, be a part of just that community feeling. And I come from Boone Central High School, Boone Central FFA chapter, which is in Albion, Nebraska. And there's just a really good culture there. There's a lot of FFA members. Everybody wants to be a part of FFA. And so just to be a part of that was another extra little incentive, if you will. So being a part of that FFA chapter, getting to experience all those different things that an FFA member did, I was just super excited to get into it. And then, so through my high school years, I did multiple different competitions, experienced all of the things I could, went to as many FFA things as I could. And that kind of just, through those different experiences, really kind of grew such a love for FFA. And I really realized what it could do for me, and those different connections, like you kind of mentioned, those different connections were just so important. And I was meeting these people in the ag industry that I knew could help me later on and could be important connections to have. And so kind of just through my love for FFA, I really decided that I wanted to kind of continue that going and wanted to give back something to FFA and to serve the FFA organization in some way. And so that's kind of what led me to be, try to become anyway, a state officer. And so I applied and went through the interview process and was lucky enough to be one of the 7 teammates on the state officer team. And just, I'm really so glad that I did. And I'm so honored to be able to serve the FFA and the whole state of Nebraska, the FFA members in this way.
Well, I'm sure they appreciate all that you guys have done. And that's quite an honor, though, to be selected for a state office. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What do you think? There are a lot of wonderful lessons that FFA teaches. What do you think is maybe the top lesson that is taught?
I would say for me, my top lesson that is not so much a lesson, but just kind of what I've realized through the years is, I kind of touched on it before, but those connections, the connections that you make, whether that be with your peers, the other FFA members, with someone who might be a judge or someone else that is in the ag community, in the ag industry, those different connections are really huge. And I've made a lot of connections through FFA, whether that be with some peers, people that I know, go to school with, or have certain interests with me that, they might be studying the same thing as I am. Some of those different connections have come through FFA, and then also just those industry leaders where you talk to people that you might run into down the road that, having that, being on a first name basis and having that connection can really help you out down the road, whether that be for some sort of internship or a job, anything like that. Those connections are huge. And through FFA, I've kind of realized that. And it's kind of taught me to go build those connections, not sit back and wait for them to come to you, but go out, reach out, put your name out there, and really go try to make those connections.
Well, I know, speaking from at least the Titan machinery side, I'm sure within our whole industry, when we see FFA on a resume or we find out that someone was in the FFA, that definitely sets you apart. There are a lot of wonderful qualities that come from FFA, being able to put yourself out there, being able to establish connections, interpersonal skills, the ability to sell, right? Or do mechanics if you did ag mechanics. There are a lot of wonderful skills and qualities and lessons that are taught. And from the employment side, those make really strong team members. So I definitely echo on the industry side that, yes, those are very important pieces that sometimes you may not even quite realize could benefit you later on. So what has been a favorite competition or contest or event that you participated in?
Yeah, through high school, I did a lot of different ones, just kind of trying different things. And that's one beauty about FFA, is how many different things you can try. And if you don't know exactly what path you want to take, you can try some different competitions and really get a sense of what that might be like in the future. One of my favorite competitions for sure was a livestock management career development event that I did, and that was a really good experience. I started as a freshman actually, and I got a couple of peers with me. Some of those students that started with me from the 7th grade. We were all really motivated towards FFA, and as freshmen in high school, we kind of joined together and decided that we were going to take on this career development event. And so we started studying as freshmen, and as freshmen, we actually upset who was supposed to be the senior team that year. We upset them at districts, and I think we got to go to state my freshman year in that competition. And then after that, we kind of just stuck with it, and we continued, and we did it sophomore year as well, up to junior year. And then junior year, we actually were lucky enough. We studied hard, we worked hard, but we ended up winning state in that competition. So that was just a really great experience. Our hard work over those 3 years had really paid off. I got to do it with some really good friends of mine, got to work on a team. And so that competition, it was really fun. All the hard work paid off, and we ended up winning state. So that was a really good experience for me.
I love that story. What a story of perseverance and hard work and all the different pieces that go with that. So awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Dustin, and I guess I should ask, where are you going to school right now?
Yeah, so I'm at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. I'm studying agronomy, and then I also have a minor in the Angler Entrepreneurship Program.
Do you have an idea of where you're headed with that?
Ideally, yep, I'd like to head back to the family farm. That's kind of outside of Albion, Nebraska there. Kind of just a smaller family farm that I come from, so I'd like to go back, and if possible, start an agronomic business in the community of some sort. That's kind of the idea right now. So
wonderful. Well, best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I know on behalf of Titan Machinery, we're always really honored and privileged to spend time and give back to our state partners. So we send all of our best wishes to Nebraska FFA, and we will see a lot of you all at the state convention here in the next couple months.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Thanks for tuning in to Titan Talk. Stay tuned for more episodes.